I never told you guys this, but Hamza actually called me back in, I think it was 2020. It must have been about 2 years ago. And there's a couple of reasons why I never told you guys. The first is I absolutely hate name dropping. I hate name dropping, and I understand the irony of this particular video. I get it, but there is a grander purpose to this video. He called me completely, well, not completely out of the view. I believe at the time he was researching into NoFap SR, and one of my videos actually came up on his newsfeed. And he actually reacted to one of the videos on his Unfiltered channel. And in fact, maybe some of you might know me from that particular time. I got a huge influx of subscribers. And what always really stood out to me in that interaction is that he had no right to call me to react to a piece of content on his channel and essentially give me free marketing. I think I gained like 5,000 subscribers in a week, something crazy. And I don't think I was even at double digits in terms of my subscriber count. And I always look back on that memory very, very fondly because of that reasoning. This was just an individual who wanted to connect with other like-minded creators, especially in the UK, because I think the influx of creators is usually in the States in America. And found a fellow British creator, and he wanted to connect, and we had a good talk. I remember he FaceTimed me in the back of a taxi. I think he was going to the dentist or something like that. We got talking about collaborations in the future and how you got started. And, what I really valued about that interaction was his honesty and transparency. He didn't come to me, and I didn't feel like he came from this perspective of being any better than myself. In fact, I actually felt like he was asking more of, my advice. And we talked very, candidly and transparently about being creators and, the benefits, but actually more specifically some of the negative feedback we get, because I'm equally no stranger to negative feedback on my videos, and him with a higher platform more recently, where at least I'm observing, I don't know if you guys have been observing, but I certainly have been observing a lot more negative comments and feedback and stones being cast his way. And part of the rationality for this video is not just name dropping. It is to talk a little bit more about the spells that you cast, and also me being a little bit more vulnerable and transparent, as per that conversation me and Hamza had back those years ago, that we equally don't have it all figured out. I'm speaking to you after I've just polished off a bottle of wine by myself. I've overindulged this evening. But I think, the trouble is with the platform that we share is we can maybe market and perceive ourselves to be, perfect and, very competent in life in general. And that's certainly not the case. And I think it's part and parcel of that almost perfect marketing. You're trying to market yourself as the perfect man. That breeds a lot of discontent in ourselves. Because I'm no stranger to this either. I look at somebody like Hamza, I look at somebody like First Man, I look at somebody who on paper, on the surface, seems to have their life far more together than myself, and it makes me sad, it makes me upset, it makes me emotionally compromised, and I feel the allure and the pull to jealousy, and beyond that, actually lashing out in some kind of anger and some kind of vitriol. I watched a video from a creator who recently got a lot of attention because he made a video in relation to Hamza and how his advice is terrible and how he's, people should stop listening to him. And it was essentially a hit job video, right? And I watched the video, and, to his merit, he made some good points about how an individual should give life experience predicated on actually having experience. And this is no slight to Hamza at all. But I really have a problem with individuals who base, what they're creating, their art, by doing a hit job on other people. I think, and notice the words that I'm using there, their art. When I'm creating a video like this one, I'm trying to take people on a journey of a self-exploratory perspective. And in that way, that is part and parcel of how I see my videos and the artistic nature to them. How I present the information, the words that I use, the tone, the intonation, my body language, and how I present myself, you know. And I have it just doesn't sit right with my heart, with my soul, with my mind when I see individuals who purely make content for the purposes of attacking other people, because it comes from that energy of fundamentally jealousy. It really does. More often than not. Of course, this is a multi-factorial equation that we're talking about here, but there's something that just doesn't quite sit right with me. And I think, you know what's interesting is the fact that I clicked on that video, and the fact that we all click on that video. Just go through this with me just a moment. We all click on videos like that. Why Logan Paul is a scammer. I've watched those videos. They're very, very entertaining videos. There's something very entertaining about finding maybe dirt on other people. I mean, I'm speaking specifically about Logan Paul here and the crypto process. So there's something very entertaining about seeing somebody being caught in their act and moving towards justice and them getting their just desserts in that way, right? I understand that. But there's something about gossip, right? Like gossip is very feminine. It's very, very feminine. There's no masculine element about it, but you see the entertainment factor in it. And, you know, again, I'm speaking from a perspective in which I identify with that. Like when I see videos like that, I go, ooh, this will be entertaining to watch, right? And then when you watch them, sure, it's that entertainment perspective, but then maybe I'm looking at it from the perspective of a creator, and you go, how can you keep up? How can this be your art? You know, you're just going through and trying to find, you know, gossip, which hopefully does come from a good place, like CoffeeZilla comes from a good place of justice. But when I watched that first video, I just felt that energy of jealousy. And equally when I see comments on, you know, I mean, I don't think, I mean, will people ever be jealous of me? I'm hoping I'm getting to that point. I mean, maybe it will happen directly or indirectly. It's not something I like to think about. I'm just trying to concentrate on what I'm fundamentally doing. But when I see individuals trying to throw stones at me or throw stones at Hamza or other creators, it it doesn't sit well with me. And, you know, Hamza's going through this changing period in his life. And what I want to say, and hopefully everybody understands, is that creators' content is always reflexive of, you know, where they are in their particular journey. I think Hamza's actually just split up with his missus, and, you know, I can identify with that particular chapter of my life. I handled it in one way, and I think Hamza's handling it in another way, and maybe respectively, he won't look back on this time as you know, a period he reacted to very, very well, or maybe he will. I don't fundamentally know. But the point is, are you viewing these creators from a perspective of, is their art giving you utility in your life? You know, it's outcome related always. And I would have you be outcome related. I'm sure there's individuals who have watched me for a time, then not watched me. You know? Maybe it's seasonal in that way. I remember when I was watching Elliot Hulse. Elliot Hulse was a massive inspiration for me. I never watch any of his videos now because he's in a different place in his life. You know, he's older, he's married, he's aging, he's kind of entering the elder years of his life, and I'm kind of still on the, you know, getting after it phase. But he's kind of been there, done that, conquered. And it's a very interesting phase. I mean, I do watch his videos from time to time, but the relevancy is gone. It doesn't have a lot of utility for me. But I mean, if there's any videos I do watch of him, it's when he was younger, when he was in his early 30s, as I'm going to be 30 next year. And, you know, OG Elliot had, in my opinion, I don't think he's matched. I don't think I've seen anybody who's on his level when he was in his like early 30, like 33, 34, 35. when he was in his old gym doing those videos. But, then he fell, he started smoking a lot of weed and, entertaining. He went ideological with the Christian. Again, I have no personal gripe with it. Ideology is something I just don't particularly subscribe to because it's very confining for me. And it was one of the factors that kind of pushed me away. I mean, maybe that's one of the factors that pushes people away from me, is that, Joseph, you have to subscribe to religion. You have to be Christian. You have to be Muslim, right? You have to be Hindu. I like exploring all these different ideas, even science, as I'm exploring a little bit more recently, and I don't feel like I should be condemned for that. I want to be able to explore that freely. But the main purpose of this video, gentlemen, was to come back to a point where I don't want you to get to that point. Because I've been that individual in the past where if somebody was saying something that I didn't agree with, or that, I could very easily, I think I did comment on some of Elliot's videos saying, I think you're moving in a wrong direction by, again, stamping your foot in the ground and saying, this is what I identify. I think you're missing the point of spirituality. Religion kind of cuts you off in that respect. I think religion is very valuable because it leads you to a place, but eventually you have to let go. You have to let go of the safety rails. It's like, you ever been bowling and those safety rails? I feel like religion is that. It keeps you going towards the pins, towards God, right? But there are other lanes. This is I just thought of this. This is a great analogy. There's other bowling lanes, right? You've got the Christian lane, Hindu lane, Jewish lane, Muslim lane. You've got all the different lanes, right? But if you think, it's only this way in my lane, I don't want to become cynical. I don't want to become that individual who does videos that are hit jobs on other people. And I've done them. I've done one on Andrew Tate. I don't particularly like Andrew Tate as an individual. Not to say that the stuff he said hasn't had utility for me. I think he said some tremendous stuff that has been very insightful and philosophical. But how this individual got the platform was not in a moral way. And that's what I would have you judge a character on, gentlemen, is the net good they fundamentally do. I think the net good that Hamza's done is tremendous. Does he get stuff wrong? Of course he does. Of course he gets stuff wrong. I get stuff terribly wrong, horribly wrong. You may not agree with everything that I say. That's fine. That's completely fine. But it's about intention. It really is about intention. I've been thinking about intention. It's always a topic that comes up. No matter the season I'm in, I always come back to intention. Like what you mean to will by your mind, by what you do. And the intention of somebody like Hamza, from our initial experience, has always been positive, in my personal opinion. And that's to get to some form of truth and leave the world, as cliche as it may sound, as Disney as it may sound, in a better place than which we found it. Somebody like Andrew Tate, the intention was greed, is to rob you, is to steal from you. And you can look at the earlier videos that and podcasts. He said some of the most abhorrent things I've ever heard a man say. He doesn't care about other people. He cares about his wealth, his riches, and fundamentally his image. And, if I'm going to shed my personal color on here, I know a lot of you probably like Andrew Tate, and that's completely fine. But I believe what we're seeing at the moment is some kind of spiritual karma. You can't take advantage of men and women through gambling and through prostitution and not have some kind of consequences. Be them physical, like what's happening with his trial at the moment, or be them spiritual. Like, does he have sleepless nights? I don't know. This is just my personal opinion on that. Now, in relation to the intention that you have and the spells that you cast with the words that you say, by getting jealous, by getting angry, don't allow yourself to mull on those emotions for too long, because they poison your soul. They turn to poison in your veins. and you become a victim. You become these individuals that you swore to destroy. It's a Star Wars quote there. Yeah. Instead, just discard them. You know, if they have no utility to you anymore, just discard them. They're not worth your attention even more, you know? If I'm of no utility to you anymore, discard me. I would have you discard me and find somebody else. Or maybe you need to go through a period of, you know, I'm not watching a lot of content at the moment. I know it sounds like a contradiction per what I've said, but there isn't somebody who particularly grabs me. You know, I'm reading more books. I'm reading more science, actually, more objective stuff, right? And this is just the phase I'm in my life, right? What phase are you in right now? Find the individuals who are in your phase and, to the best of your knowledge, who are doing the best, getting the most out of that phase. And that's what I would have you do. That's what I would have you focus on. Don't be these keyboard warriors saying people have fallen off, that they used to be good. You can think that, that's fine, but just discard them. Be, you know, in a manner in which you're considering your higher self. That individual is not spending his time telling other people, trying to cast stones at other people. You know, you can think people are doing, you know, terrible, but it's a very feminine quality. It's a very estrogenic quality to go onto a platform and record a video and say why this person is a terrible human being, you know, and their advice is poor, no, or to tip-tap comments and say, oh, you used to be better than this. Like, it's very female. It's very female in nature. And, you know, if that's, you know, your karma at this time, fine. Yeah. I post and ghost. That's what I do. I get terrible comments. I get terrible comments on Twitter all the time. I spend absolutely zero energy indulging them. Zero. Because it's not worth it. It's not conducive to where I want to go to indulge them. I see them. I do see them. Takes me, you know, sometimes I need to meditate on some. I'm human. You know, as per that earlier point. You know, I try not to. That's the direction I want to go in. There are times I see if there's any weight to them. Usually there's not. There's a fraction, there's maybe 5% where I kind of stop and go, I learn a lot from you guys, especially the ones that are more constructive. But I will have nobody subscribe to me that is engaged and indulged with being a crying, moaning, tantrum child because their personal situation is not what they would like it to be. You have bigger problems. Go and deal with those first. That's where you should be placing your energy. These aren't theories. These are facts. Speak soon.